Learned any lessons from their suppression of last year's anti-government protests, which sparked widespread condemnation, or are they still clamping down on the opposition? Well, a few weeks ago, the government banned all rallies and gatherings, saying they were associated with violence and rioting. And they also revoked the Bahraini nationality of 31 individuals, allegedly for threatening national security. My guest today on Hard Talk is one of these people, now left stateless, Jalal Fairooz, a former MP from the main opposition Shia political group Al-Wifaq. Jalal Fairooz, welcome to Hard Talk.
Thank you, Ms. Badawi.
You've been stripped of your Bahraini nationality because the authorities say you jeopardise national security. What do you think they have on you?
They failed to say. Actually, I've never been summoned before. I never been called to go to the police. I've been a prominent figure of Bahrain. I served Bahrain for so many years. I've been the deputy chair of some of the major committees in the parliament. I've been in the international. I've represented Bahrain. I was elected internationally as vice chair of the human rights and democracy of the IPU, and never ever had any problem. But it seems that they just, because of my outspoken about advocating human rights in Bahrain, they were not happy with that.
But you know, the government spokesman Fahad al-Binali told the BBC after your nationality was revoked on November the 6th that they had done this as a matter of national security, and I can assure you, he said, that the decision was not taken lightly. They wouldn't just revoke your nationality along with 30 others just like that for no reason, would they?
Well, they have done things for no reason, because there have been some people who are accused of jeopardizing national security, but their nationalities have not been revoked. And if they want to do it, then they need to go to court. And as 1963 law says, that it has to be proven that I've done anything against that. The International Human Rights Declaration, Article 15, is very clear, and you cannot make anyone stateless. And now I've been stateless out of the blue. And you were teaching business,
yes, and you were an instructor here in the UK, yes, when you got this news.
Yeah, I mean, they should have at least called me in and saying, I mean, I've just been only receiving threats over the phone from the secret police saying, stop talking to the international media. But you cannot do that. Lots of violation of human rights are there.
But Fahad al-Binali also said that you have the right to appeal the decision. Are you going to do that?
This is a joke, really, because one of the 31 is a lawyer, and he tried to appeal. They said, oh, you cannot do that.
But have you tried to appeal? You've instructed, yes, a lawyer in Bahrain to, yes, take up your case.
I did speak to a lawyer, and they said, okay, let's try. And there was another person from the 31 who tried with the same lawyer. And they said you cannot even issue a letter of delegation to that lawyer. So there is no way you can appeal. And you appeal to what? There is no an independent judiciary system in Bahrain. You will be suing the king, or how can you?
So what are you going to do now? You're stateless. You're even saying that your 3 children between the ages of 16 and 21 might also be have their nationality revoked. You're seeking asylum here in the UK. Is that it? You're going to just live here?
I did. Actually, it's the only country around the world where they revoke nationalities. Actually, you don't understand it. Why would they do that? If they have anything against me, they can take me to court. Let me try to defend myself, but they have not done that, and I don't know what to do.
So you've sought asylum here in the UK?
Yes, I did lately, but actually I like my country. I'm Bahraini. My parents, my ancestors, Bahraini. I've never had any nationality. I have never been in any country, but for several weeks.
How does this make you feel? I see you're wearing the Bahraini national flag as an emblem on your jacket there.
I'm proud of my Bahrain. I'm proud of my country, and I did work for the progressive of reforms in Bahrain. But the problem is that there is no actual reform. The dictatorship is predominant.
All right,
in Bahrain.
I mean, you, though people are saying in Bahrain that, or the government is saying that they have to be quite tough on dissidents or potential dissidents, opposition activists, because we've had a spate of bombings in November. We've also had anti-government protests that have turned violent in October, which led the government at the end of October to have this indefinite ban on unauthorised rallies, even though they said they did it with a heavy heart because they didn't want to quell freedom of speech.
Well, actually, there has not been since the rise up for more than 14 months. There hasn't been any violence at all. But is
that the case? I mean, at
yes.
a rally on October the 18th at a village in Akkar, just outside the
yes.
capital Manama, there were anti-government protests. One policeman died as a result of a bomb. He was died of his wounds later on.
You see, regarding
and
that...
there have been other examples, haven't there, of violence in villages outside the capital in October?
That particular case, the government said there was a bombing, and UK and US, they condemned that, and also Al-Wifaq issued a condemnation of that bombing. But just after 24 hours, the Ministry of Interior issued a statement saying, we're sorry, it was not a bombing. There was
but he died. The policeman died.
A steel rod being
all right, but there have been other clashes. There have been Molotov cocktails thrown at the police, gun rods being used against the police by anti-government protesters in several incidents.
Actually, you see, for the Minister of Interior said that in the Parliament just 3 months ago, he said, since the beginning, I mean, since the beginning of the rise up, just after that first week, until that time, like we are talking about 15 months, there hasn't been a single police casualty. And also whatever is being called bombing is just like booby traps.
Well, I mean, two migrant workers were killed. That's not something
of course,
on November the 5th, when you had those two bomb explosions. So two workers were killed. So the government is not necessarily overreacting, because this is something which any government would look upon as a very serious matter.
First of all, there are lots of
I'm not implying in any way, by the way, that Al-Wifaq was involved in that.
Of course, Al-Wifaq condemned any bombing from whoever, but there are lots of ambiguities around it, and there are some intelligence sources in the West who said, we believe that it was not the people who implemented.
All right, well, that's not been corroborated at all. But the fact of the matter, the Ministry of Interior website in Bahrain says that the amount of violence, rioting, attacks on police, citizens and property associated with the rallies that have been taking place in the past few weeks will no longer be tolerated, because people's lives are threatened, which means the government has the responsibility to step in and bring about peace. You can't blame the government if it tries to restore stability and peace and order.
You see, Al-Wifaq and the opposition parties, they have been since until the prohibition of the demonstrations, every week either one or two demonstrations, and there was no violence with these. What they are calling violence is that, you see, when you attack at 2 a.m. people's houses, you raid and you attack the wives and mothers. You know, these teenagers, what do you expect from them? We don't want them. We have been trying our utmost to keep the people from going to any violence. We have said there is denouncement. So there is a document which was signed and denouncing all sorts of violence.
And Al-Wifaq signed that.
Yes.
And as the British Foreign Secretary William Hague said, it was very good that you did that, but he also said in November this year, when he met the Bahraini foreign minister, that he urges others to follow their lead, meaning that other opposition forces may be resorting to violence. And I put it to you that the February the 14th movement, made up of youths predominantly, taking their name from last year on the date that the protest started, are resorting to violence. You accept that?
Actually, they are not. Actually, they have not taken things to the violence. Actually,
but they are perpetrating acts of violence. You just kind of imply that the young, you know, become a little bit impatient and so on. And
that's a reaction of, you know, you've seen that in Northern Ireland, okay? Because people are so frustrated because they don't see a light at the end of the tunnel.
So they are taking to violent means.
There are very minor. The thing is that any single Molotov cocktail have been thrown, the person who has thrown it, he's in jail. I mean, he's a teenager. But what happened to the violence? You see, cocktail Molotov, you have seen it on YouTube, you can see it now. Cocktail Molotovs are being thrown on people by police. All the violence being committed by police. There is no single. How many police are behind bars because of violation of human rights? Zero.
You say that, but as you know, the Bahraini authorities say, look, after those protests started last year, we've set up an independent commission of inquiry, the BICI, and we are learning the lessons from that repression. We accept, they said, that some people say 35 people died, some people say as many as 80 died in those protests which began last year.
You see, when you say we accept it, you mean things will not recur. But the problem is twice as many people being killed by the government have happened after the Bassiouni. 17 of them are
You talk there about Sharif
teenagers.
Bassiouni, who chaired this BICI, the commission, the
correct.
Egyptian.
The commission. And around 17 of them are young, less than teenage, and there are 13 of them are women. You have around 23 of them are above 60 years old. They have been killed arbitrarily by police.
Since the government introduced the recommendations of the Independent Commission of Inquiry? Because that's not what the government spokesman Fahad bin Ali is saying. He says currently there are 122 cases under investigation by the Special Investigations Unit to deal with complaints about human rights violations. 12 cases have been referred to court. They're saying this kind of thing doesn't exist.
You see, the BICI has recorded hundreds and hundreds of cases of torture, and not to say the violations. Okay, there are around 70 types of violations, but the government is saying they accepted 122 cases, but they have referred the court only 12. Now, out of these, how many have been put to trial?
Well, we can't look at individual cases as such, but the point I'm making to you is this, which is it's not just the Bahraini authorities that are saying that they have brought in these reforms, a new and independent police ombudsman, 500 new community police officers drawn from all sectors of society, training for the police in human rights and that kind of thing. Even legal and law enforcement systems have been overhauled so that you don't have military tribunals anymore. And it's not just them who are saying we have done this and we should be applauded. British government is also saying of the 176 recommendations, 143 have been taken up and 13 partially.
Taken up means they said, okay, we'll try to, but doesn't say, even the British government doesn't say that they have applied.
Well, Baroness Wasi in the House of Lords, the minister said that the Bahraini authorities are trying to make progress on these matters and we are supporting them in doing that. The
problem is that, they need to stop torture, Up to today, there is torture. You see, Amnesty International, they have issued just 2 weeks ago, based on 1 year after BICI, they said the reforms are being shelved, repression continues, there is torture going on daily. See, just today, one person died, and the repression is continuing.
But this hasn't been corroborated, and also we haven't had a response from the Bahrain authorities on that. But you quote Amnesty International there. I could go back and say to you, somebody, an independent analyst like Michael Stevens from the Royal United Services Institute in Qatar, that's a defence think tank, says security reforms have been comprehensive in Bahrain. Hillary Clinton said last year, it's easy to see the glass as half empty, I see the glass as half full. So don't you give the authorities credit for making progress?
Not at all, because they have not refrained from violating human rights. You see, they have demolished over 40 mosques. It is the only...
5 are being rebuilt.
The only, Now 5 been rebuilt, and just 3...
These are Shia mosques, by the way, aren't they?
Yeah. Just 2 weeks ago, go to the Google, just 2 weeks ago, you can see the picture, they demolished them again. This is the problem. They are not stopping killing of the people. There, you see, even the High Commissioner of United Nations, High Commissioner of Human Rights, they said, they said there is no serious of applying the inquiries.
Well, if you look, again, I put it to you because you're making serious allegations here that the Bahrain authorities are continuing to torture when they say, actually, we are trying to make progress. Again, John Yates, former UK head of counter-terrorism, who, as you know, is now an advisor on police affairs to the Bahraini government, he says, I'm not an apologist, he says, for what happened last year, but I'm bewildered by the level of criticisms aimed at a nation that has acknowledged its mistakes and has plans in place to put things right. So give them a chance.
You see, giving them a chance, you want to see stopping the violation of human rights. You see, they have gone all the way, the revoking of nationalities, demolishing new mosques, killing people, raiding people's houses, just sieging. Now, I'm not saying that. I'm referring to Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, United Nations Human Rights. It's all being said that there are no serious measures. You see, there are 26 recommendations out of the BICI. Only 3 out of the 26, which are not important ones, have been.
Well, that's not what the British government said. 143 of the 176, and then a further 13 partially accepted.
This is the Geneva Convention.
Okay. Yeah. But this is looking at the authorities' response to the anti-government protests that started. But the fact of the matter is that the Shia population in Bahrain, which make up about 70% of the population, we know that the ruling Al Khalifa family are Sunnis. The discontent amongst some Shias in Bahrain goes back many, many years. Your party, Al Wifaq, was set up in 2001. What is it that you want?
You see,
what change do you want in Bahrain?
You see, we are saying whatever the American government has been saying, and Bosner, the deputy foreign minister of the United States, have said that you need to integrate all the people. You see, you don't see a single Shiite in the army, in the police force. You will see only 2% Shiites.
Sure. So,
in the ministers and the cabinet, you will see only few. And just today, there have been new appointments, and the appointments were Sheikh Al Khalifa. They are from the ruling family.
You just quoted the US Deputy Secretary of State, but I would say to you that President Obama said last year, we believe the patriotism that binds Bahrainis together must be more powerful than the sectarian forces that would tear them apart.
Yes.
Are you, like some members of the opposition February the 14th movement, calling for the fall of the Al Khalifa dynasty?
We are not.
They've been in power since the 18th century.
We are not, and it's all clear. Everyone knows.
So what is it you want?
Okay, we want dignity, human rights. We are calling for constitutional monarchy, as you have in the United Kingdom. We want to stop corruption teams.
So you want the King Hamad to have no power, because at the moment he has the power to appoint the upper chamber in Parliament, to also nominate the cabinet ministers. But as you know, in February this year, he told Spiegel magazine in an interview, we have made political reforms. We have passed a number of amendments to the constitution which allow Parliament to dismiss government. All ministerial appointments have to be approved by Parliament. We invite everyone with openness. The lower house of Parliament is totally elected. You were a member of that Parliament until not that long ago.
Well,
so, again, give the Bahrainis credit. They are making political reforms.
You are saying that the lower house is being elected, of course, dominated by the upper house, which is being appointed fully by total pro-king, pro-government. And even the lower, you see, for example...
But you were elected as a member of the leading opposition party.
Let me tell you this one, okay? Al Wifaq, for example, have got 63.5% of the votes, 2/3 of the votes, okay? But we've got only 1/3 of the seats. There is gerrymandering, there is misusing of the districts. My district, I was voted for, and the other pro-government districts just beside me, they are quarter the size and quarter the population of mine.
Because in 2010, when you had elections in Bahrain, the opposition parties, mostly the Shia parties, won 45% of the seats in the parliament. So you are now saying that actually you speak or have your finger on the pulse of the vast majority of Shias in Bahrain. Is that what you're saying?
It's not only the Shias.
That if there wasn't gerrymandering, you're saying that there would be.
It's not only the Shias. There are Shias who are pro-government, but in the opposition, we are talking about opposition votes, which are Sunnis and Shiites, and you know that in the opposition parties are not Shiites. They are Sunnis and Shiites, and altogether, you know, my grandmother is a Sunni. Okay, two of my
and your mother is Iranian originally.
Originally, of course, and of course also the spokesperson of the government. Her mother is Iranian.
Sure.
But I mean, you have
there are many.
You have 1/3 of the population of Bahrain originally, but
who are originally from Iran.
Yes, we are talking about. See, the thing is that who has done the hatred? It is the Bahrain TV, for example, the government's institutions. Every day they are promoting hatred, and that has been. I'm not saying that.
But then you have
the ICI is saying.
You have the Crown Prince Salman saying, "I am not a prince of the Sunnis. I'm not a prince of the Shias. I'm a prince of the Kingdom of Bahrain," and he's reaching out to everybody.
Yeah.
So why don't you perhaps engage in a dialogue with them and say, "This is what we would like." Engage in a nice, peaceful dialogue and
thank you for bringing this up, because all along we have been saying this is our hand. This is our hand.
But that's not the case. If you look at the Minister of Information, Samira Rajab, who herself is a Shia, she says Al-Wifaq itself is seen as a kind of Trojan horse for Iranian interests.
That's a nasty claim.
Well,
you know, it's not true. You see, BICI has said...
Can I just say what she says? She says on her website that Al-Wifaq is sectarian in nature and is the faithful fulfiller of the aspirations and ambitions of Iran in Bahrain, trying to split the society. That is often said about you.
That's a nasty claim, which we have to take her to court for that, because she was pro-Saddam Hussein also.
But she's a Shia in Bahrain.
Yeah, of course. As I told you, there are Shias pro-government, there are Sunnis against government, there are Sunnis in jail. You know, lots of prominent oppositions are in jail. You see, the government has made all the sectarian thing. You see, in Bahrain, you will not see, but only 7% of the higher ranks in the government to be Shiites. You are talking about 70%, but only 7% having.
All right.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you one final point. We've got a little bit of time left. One anonymous opposition activist from the February the 14th movement said that he is absolutely certain that the Al Khalifa dynasty will fall.
Yes.
Probably. Is he right?
Probably. Why? Okay, because this government is not adhering to the logic and not looking that the best interest for them and the people will be to just come to a common ground. We want a dialogue, a legitimate dialogue, which Mr. Obama has asked in the United Nations last year.
So you can be citizens who are not prevented from joining certain sectors of society, like the police, as you said, the judiciary.
The problem is that there is just margining of Shiites. Very bad discrimination is being there, but we are not saying that. We want to see people all together, really, and we want. After all, there has to be accountability, there has to be transparency. People have all the right. Why would we have 15% unemployment with the oil?
Well, I mean, as you know, the Bahraini government says they don't discriminate openly, and that all Bahrainis are Bahrainis regardless of whether they are Shias or Sunnis.
You can refer to international transparency. You can refer to State Department's reports. I'm not saying that. Look at what the world has investigated. But actually, we have been calling for a legitimate dialogue, but the government doesn't want that, because if it went for a dialogue, then lots of its power will be taken away for the people. And you see, even though the constitution is saying people have to dominate, but it's not the case in Bahrain.
Jalal Fairooz, thank you very much indeed for coming on Hard Talk.
Thank you. It's very kind of you. Thank you.